Hey guys, welcome to week one, the homework for week one. Also, I'd like you to watch the uh, introduction class that I also put up on YouTube. So the first week we're really dealing with cubes, we're dealing with perspective. Um, it's maybe a little bit boring on some level just drawing a cube. Of course, you could always just put a smiley face on the cube or you know, create cube animals, cube robots, put them into some strange outer space place. You should have fun with it, but try to learn how to do perspective and try to learn how to do cubes. In this first one, I'm demonstrating how to do planes. So, what's a plane? Plane is basically four lines that, or it could actually be three lines, or could be more than four lines, but they all stick together to make like a flat surface. So, for example, a table, the top of a table would be a flat surface. A wall in your classroom would be a flat surface. So, basically, what I'm asking you to do in this first homework assignment is just play around with it. Like, play around with what happens when you put these straight lines. Like, obviously, not all my lines are perfectly straight, and here I am kind of fixing them. And just play around with these straight lines. And one thing is that at a certain point, like you may want to, either speed up or slow down my video or just stop it just so you can catch up and do your own thing. So in this case, here I've done this like little cube, not a cube shape, a plane shape, and I'm trying to put in another plane below it, right? So one plane is kind of going upward. Now there's a plane that's going downward, and I'm trying to put that second plane into perspective. And I'm not drawing out like exact perspective lines. I'm kind of doing it in my head. But notice that the line that's kind of in front is quite a bit longer than the line in back. And now I'm going up and down. And what I'm doing there is I'm just trying to get a sense of like how would I put that plane that's sort of on the bottom? How would I put that into perspective? And I'm just playing with it. I'm like playing with this idea of things being 3D. I mean, one question you might be asking yourself, because it just does get frustrating, does get difficult, right? You're doing something pretty much new. You haven't ever really done this before. That's why you're taking a beginner drawing class. Well, why should I do this? It seems pretty darn hard trying to get these things all in the right perspective. And the simple answer to that is that it's just going to make your drawing much better in the end if you want things to look 3D. For example, let's say you just want to draw flowers. You want to draw pretty flowers. Well, you want to be able to draw those flowers not just in plain old space, but maybe you want to put them on a table. Well, the surface of a table is a plane. Um, let's say you actually look at some flowers with leaves. Well, the leaves are very likely going to be planes, right? There may be a bit of a curve to them, but a lot of leaves are somewhat flat. You can also just think of all these different things like curved surfaces as just a whole bunch of planes kind of stuck together that in their accumulation, they turn into surfaces, turn into flat surfaces. But yeah, we'll get more deeply into that as we go along. The pointer is that anything can be abstracted into a plane. If you do anything with 3D software, you'd kind of know that. So here I'm doing kind of the inside of a box. And I'm doing a little bit of the shadow. Just a tiny hint of a shadow can often make things look more real. it's useful just to do a lot of something. So if you're going to do cubes, might as well do a lot of cubes. So sometimes putting them into real perspective, and then sometimes just doing a bunch, kind of getting a sense of the flow, the motion of your arms, your hands. In this case, it looks like I'm doing a cube, right? Doing a cube in perspective, and we're looking just straight side on at one of the angles of the cube. So we're actually not side on. We're looking at the actual angle, like the sharp point of the cube. So I start with by drawing in pencil, and then I'll darken things up. Yep, here I am going in with the charcoal. So in this case, notice that the up and down lines, the one that's the closest is going to be the longest line. This is a little longer than the others, but it makes a difference that it puts it in perspective, the fact that it's a little bit longer. Anything that's closer is a little bit bigger. And then I put in the shadow on the left, just a hint of a shadow. Doesn't need to be super dark. Yeah, here I am. I'm just fixing things a little bit. I'm changing the actual perspective a little bit. Just really more to play with this idea of perspective. The things can be changed even as we go along, just by doing a little erasing. So what I've done here is I've made the left side a little bit smaller. So what's happening is that the right side is kind of being rotated towards us. And kind of you can notice that I'm not really using the actual perspective lines. Like I could. This would be 2-point perspective if I was going to use the perspective lines. So if I move and make the left side smaller, I'm going to end up rotating things so that the right side, that right bottom line, is a little bit less steep. And I'm not sure that you're going to understand what I'm talking about. Oh, all of a sudden here I'm tilting the box so that you're seeing the top of the box. Yep, so I'm changing these lines again. So I'm just playing with this idea that anything can be transformed in 3D space. You don't have to do all this erasing. You just can redraw the box over and over again. But in my case, I'm just kind of playing with this idea that this box can be transformed very easily, just with an eraser and a piece of charcoal, because the charcoal erases so easily. One way of thinking about it is that all this drawing, it's a little bit like playing with putty. You're like just molding things. And just notice how much erasing I'm doing. So until you become a total master, you're going to do a lot of erasing, and that's good. It's not a problem. Here I'm changing the lines again so that you're getting a completely different angle of the cube. again, really thinking about all this as almost like sculpting with your drawing tools. And so in this last part here, I've actually erased a bunch of the box, and I'm putting the box much more in a 2-point perspective kind of mode, where the two sides, the left side and the right side, are kind of facing straight on, right? Basically the plane on the front is straight on to the viewer, and the sides are kind of going off into the distance. And it'd be good to actually get a real cube that you can look at, but also doing these things in your mind. So being good at both understanding conceptually how a cube works and also looking at real cubes, whatever you can find. You can just find an old packing box somewhere in your house and draw that over and over again. You can also just play with turning these cubes into some kind of interesting structure. Uh, for example, turn it into maybe a castle of sorts, piling one cube on top of another. But the main point here is understanding that all these things are fixable. You can transform your cube into multiple different perspectives just by erasing a line and then putting in another line. Again, looking at this cube right here in uh, 2-point perspective, just notice that the line that's in front is much bigger and longer than the line that's in back, right? The front edge line is longer than the back edge line. It's a really important point in terms of understanding how this stuff works. Now, in this situation, what I'm doing is we're looking more on top of the box. So before we're looking on more side on, and now we're looking more at the top. And you'll get a sense of this, like if you do this enough, it'll become kind of second nature. You'll get a feel for it. But in order to do that, you just need to do a lot of it. It's like 1,000 different cubes, 1,000 different boxes. And then you'll be really good at boxes. Hopefully we'll get you good at more than just boxes. All right, have fun with it.